Welcome, everybody, to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. It's been a while since I've said that. I'm your host, Andy Burrows, and as you can see or hear, depending on how you're listening to us, I'm joined by my tag team partner, Mr. Adam Cousins. Adam, how are you, sir?
Evening. I felt like going back to the old days for a little
It's the
bit.
old, we're going old school. I miss the good old days of wrestling. But yeah, me and you are here to review the year that was WWE. Before we get into it, ads, where do you think WWE have gone now, mate? It's a completely different stratosphere compared to. Imagine if we could go back in time, 20 odd years to when me and you first met, or however long ago, and say we'd be sitting here doing a podcast talking about the WWE now about to launch on Netflix, an online stream. We've had the WWE network. Wrestling has changed so much. How much in the last year, especially as we're here talking about the last year in WWE, how much do you think the bar has been raised in professional wrestling?
First thing, it would be weird to say that we'd be talking about a WWE without a McMahon in
It's
charge.
crazy. It's still crazy that, isn't it?
That's that's
There's still the conspiracy people out there that go, and he is still in charge, running it from behind. No, no way, not a chance.
definitely not. In terms of the bar, it was quite weird because I was thinking about this today because I was expecting who has been your MVP of the year, who's been just and full disclosure, guys, we don't talk about what we're going to talk about before we go.
No, we literally hit record.
We hit
I've
record.
literally, as you can see, just got back from football. We just hit record and go.
Exactly. So we don't, so I was expecting to hear bits and pieces like that. But in terms of the bar, do you know what? I think in terms of like commercial value, a lot because, what's it, billions Netflix have paid for
Oh,
them.
I think it's something crazy like 22 billion or something mad.
So
I'll
in
have a
terms of
quick
that,
Google while we're chatting, but yeah.
yeah, in terms of that huge, I mean, I don't necessarily think like, do I think the product has gone massively better than it was last year? I think it has improved, yes. I don't think I still think they can take it up a notch or two going forward, and perhaps they will. I hope they will, that's for sure. But it's just been a crazy year. Like, when it all started, I mean, TKO and whatnot, and then obviously Mr. McMahon stuff started happening at the back end of last year, and then it carried on, and then all this other crazy shit come out about him. And then he went, and then we've been left in charge of. It's quite weird, really. The click in a lot of ways. Triple H doing
Gone full circle, isn't it?
and Shawn Michaels recently doing NX or now involved in NXT. And I don't know the expansion plans, but I think in terms of next year, we'll probably be sitting here this time next year saying they've raised the bar again.
Yeah, I mean it's nowhere near the figure I said, but it's over a 10-year span,
Mhm.
$5 billion Netflix deal, 10 years the
Half a
deal.
million a year.
Yeah. So sign a
Not half a
10-year
million,
deal,
half a billion a year.
half a
Sorry.
billion a year, but to
Okay.
sign a 10-year deal on anything is incredible. But to think that Netflix have now thought, gone, "Do you know what? We'll take a punt on You've only got to watch the press conference the other day that they've done, and they've changed the Raw logo, they've changed everything. SmackDown's now going to 3 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, wrestling nowadays, WWE, any content that you want to get for professional wrestling, it's we keep saying it time and time again. It's such a great time to be a wrestling fan. Look, I'm always going to be a WWE fan. Predominantly, I do watch other promotions. Mainly when you guys talk about TNA, or I'll dip my toe into that. I saw the Ring of Honor done a show last night. I'll dip into that. A lot of the UK stuff. But do you think what WWE are doing can only benefit other promotions? It can only make you want to raise the bar. I'm not going to sit here and start bashing AEW, but I want to see people working. But it used to be back in the day, you used to say like WCW are going to try and put WWE out of business. That's never happening now. Whoever you are as a wrestling company, you're always going to be the B side to where you can't come. It's impossible now to compete with WWE. You can put on the best matches. You can have a really good roster. It's now kind of like an independent film company trying to compete with Disney or something like. Do you think we're at that kind of realm now with where WWE have taken it to?
I don't think there'll be anyone that's going to be anything close anytime soon. I mean, you remember WWE have been going, what, 70 years
Mm.
as well. So they've got that background. I mean, they do have the best of the best in terms of, pretty much everything. And now Netflix on that. I'll struggle to find anyone. I mean, I think it's better if you just have a lot of alternates
Mm.
and don't even try and do it. I mean,
Compete.
you
Mm.
think like Ted Turner done it, right? Billions dollars, had more money than Vince at the time. Did he
Mm.
succeed? No.
No.
Well, I mean, the Khans have billions, and again, not bashing AEW at all, but they're better off. not even trying to do it because not. I don't think that they wouldn't have enough to succeed in doing it. I know Vince isn't there anymore, but when WWE needed to step things up, they flicked a switch and WCW was gone. I don't want to see that with any promotion. I don't want any promotion to go
No.
like it or not like it. People, I want to see people in work. I want to see alternate wrestling. I like watching alternate television, wrestling television. Don't poke the bear because if you do that, there's only one outcome that's going to happen.
Do you think fans need to buy into that as well? I speak to, obviously, I speak to you
Mm.
mostly about wrestling, but say if you're just I speak to a couple of my friends at work who listen to this, big shout out to them. They'll be like, oh, I watched AEW the other day, or I watched a TNA, and it's nowhere near as like what the comparing the production and how a show's put on now. Is that in the psyche of a wrestling fan? Because like my friends are diehard WWF,
Yeah.
WWE fans, when they're, oh, Andy, I watched AEW the other day and it was terrible. And then again, look, I'm not, everyone knows my thoughts on AEW, but as a fan now, are certain fans now got to get that into their mind? Don't flick on a TNA, don't flick on AEW, don't flick on Ring of Honor, and automatically go, well, this ain't as good as WWE. Well, it's not going to be. WWE have got unlimited funds pretty much. They're just signed with Netflix. They've got, they've got everything at their disposal. Someone like an AEW or a TNA or a Ring of Honor or the UK promotions that are trying to, get their names out there. Do you think it's something that fans now have to do as well within their psyche of not comparing wrestling companies to the WWE when you watch on TV?
Just don't compare them full stop.
Mm.
Everyone needs to be different for every other reason. Like, if I want to watch something like, if I want a throwback, so every week I watch NWA with Fee, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I like about it is it's throwback, right?
Old
Are
school.
we going to get, I mean, you do get some like good, don't get me wrong, there's some banger matches in there that they really, like in my words, they do happen. But
Mm-hmm.
like, if you want to see a match end with a standing drop kick or an elbow drop or something like that, and if you want, and this is going to sound disrespectful to him, but I don't mean disrespectfully, a circus roster
Mm-hmm.
where you've got like different, massively different characters, and in NWA is your thing. That's what I love watching it for those reasons. It's totally different. I don't go into NWA going, "Oh, if WWE done this," you just don't do it. So don't put anything up against anyone. Just enjoy every wrestling for being different, and it should be that
Mm.
way.
Yeah. Talking about the way wrestling is, just get into it a little bit, ads. We'll start at the top. We've transitioned throughout the last in 2024. We've gone from Roman Reigns
Yeah.
being the modern day champion, the longest reigning modern day champion, to Cody Rhodes. Let's briefly touch on that, mate. How do you feel the Cody Rhodes run has gone since last year's WrestleManias? We're kind of now, as Triple H said the other day, on the road to this year's WrestleMania. I've got some different opinions of how I think the run's gone. I mean, it's kind of like when David Moyes followed Alex Ferguson at Man United. It was never going to be easy. Whoever followed Roman, and we said this last year when me and you spoke, said there's going to come a day when that bloodline storyline has to shift and they've got to do something else. And we can get into the whole bloodline and what they're doing later on. But how do you feel that WWE have transitioned with Cody as their champion in the last, as we're coming up on what will be a year since he's been champion?
I've not really enjoyed it as much. I don't think they kind of we said it. Do they really know what to do when it not necessarily the bloodline's finished, but when it's not championship stuff? And I feel like right now they're just getting it right with the Kevin Owens stuff and what Kevin's done and that bit. And that kind of took time to get there. They had that match beforehand when it was like a face v face, and then it kind of died away a bit. Cody went off and done the War Games thing, and then it come back. That bit's been fine, but where they got there, yes, we had the Roman return at SummerSlam, which we kind of knew what was going on. But I don't know. I just feel like they didn't know what to do, and it was some of the
Mm,
first few matches that he defenses that he had were like done 2 weeks before the pay
yeah.
per view, and it was thrown together. Great matches, don't get me wrong, but I don't feel as if that. I don't feel they knew what they were going to do with Cody.
Yeah, there isn't. Is there? I don't know. I'm with you with the whole Kevin Owens thing. What they're doing now, I think it's great. I don't think there's been a feud that's really stood out to me and gone, "Oh wow, that was an absolute banger." He's had feuds with various different
Yeah.
people, and not one of them have I gone, "Oh wow, this is good." And like you say, they've all been like 2 week build and done. Then we'll get to a SmackDown or a Raw, and it'll be another couple of weeks build. And then we'll go, he's fighting for the Saudi Arabia title or whatever
Mm.
the bloody hell it is, and
Yeah.
he's defending. There hasn't been at any point of this run where I've thought, hey, I can see them flipping it now, or you know. taking the title off him. There was talk at Saturday night's main event that it might happen. It was never going to happen. Um, how much longer do you think Cody's got as WWE champion? Are they going to pull the trigger and go, right, we're going to somehow get to Mania? Is it too of an easy thing to do to put the title back on Roman? Do they eventually now go, do you know what? Let's put it on Punk and see where we go from there. And hopefully it's heel Punk, not babyface Punk, because I think that's going to be better. Throw Drew McIntyre into the mix now as well. You know, what's going on with him. Where do you think they go with Cody as we lead up to, we're looking back at last year, but leading up to this year's WrestleMania, where do they go with him now?
I think they're going to go with Roman again or Rock, one of those two. Whoever, if Rock can do it, he will. If not Roman, I do think he'll have it until after. My gut says that it's going to be him and Randy at some point, and that's the feud. That is the money feud. That's got a story that goes
Back
back.
history, yeah.
It got everything. It's ready to. It's kind of like ready to go. They just got to get to it. I think it needs a championship. I don't think you can have it like you could have like a standalone SummerSlam match with them two without the championship, but I think it would mean more to the whole story to have it on there. So my guess, and if they're going that way, is Rhodes keeps it past WrestleMania, although I have my doubts about that. And then with Punk, I mean, I think that's the Raw side, but there's going to be changes. I suppose we'll get into the transfer window. A transfer's already happened, right? We'll get into, which is actually quite nice when you sent me that message the other day. I was like, Jesus, that's working. But I think that's when the big thing, it's the change and when that happens. Because if Cody does go to Raw, that we're assuming that he's going to, then where does that put Punk in the title picture? Because if you're going Roman Cody, Punk's not in it.
Mm.
Unless
Yeah,
you go
no.
SmackDown.
Yeah, interesting. Let's quickly transition to the World Championship. Obviously, it's now currently with Gunther. We've
Mhm.
had Damien Priest as I thought
Mhm.
he might have got a little longer run, shall we say. Where
Mhm.
are you with that title, and what do you think that WWE have done right or wrong with that? Because it's always been, it's now seems known as the second World Championship. Let's be honest, you know, Cody holds the one. I'm of the ilk now, and I don't think you can do it now because the way wrestling is. I still miss having one champion. That's the one. When you talk about throwback earlier with the NWA and what they're doing, that's the only thing within wrestling. If I could, and I don't know how you do it with Raw and SmackDown and NXT and 3 hours there and 3 hours there, I would have one champion across it all because I don't know. I'm not. I think everyone's more invested in what's going on with Cody and Roman,
Yeah.
etc., in that title. And the Gunter and the Damien Priest stuff and the Drew McIntyre's obviously been involved with that, etc. That title for me still seems to be playing second fiddle.
Yeah, it has, and it will. It will do. For sure. I don't know. Do you know what? I feel the same with Gunther. Like, I know Priest had it. Obviously, Priest won it and then lost it. That's all gone full circle now with Judgment Day. I think the same with Gunther. Like I don't know. They've just like he had lost his mojo for a bit, and it looked that way as well. It just weren't working. It got it back recently in that match that they had at Saturday night's main event. I don't know. I just feel as if like they've had the Bloodline stuff carrying on, and it was always going to be. I mean, I know this is Raw and Bloodline SmackDown, but you've had the bit where Jey Uso transitioned, and that kind of took over Raw a little bit because you had the Intercontinental title front and center because of what was going on. I don't think any championship really. In the United States one, they definitely fumbled big time.
Oh, did they have too many titles? Do you reckon?
I don't think so. That's the problem. I think it's fine. I'm glad they got the women's one. I just think don't change the champion unless you've got a story, a
Lined
plan.
up.
Do you remember what it used to be like? That you used to be told when you were going to win it and when you were going to drop it and who you were
Hmm.
going to drop it to. That was always what was back in the day. That was how it went. Obviously now they don't do. Well, they probably kind of have it in their head, but
Yeah, it's
don't
kind
change
of,
it.
yeah, it's more pivot now, isn't it? They kind
Yeah,
of do things on the fly now.
yeah. Oh shit! Someone's getting a big reaction. Put it
Yeah.
back in. Pop
Daniel
it.
Bryan all them years ago was nowhere near what we were meant to see at WrestleMania when he eventually won the
Yeah.
title against was it Triple
Triple H
H
and Batista.
and
They beat like
Batista.
who did he beat? He beat Triple H first, didn't he? And then Randy
Yeah,
Orton.
and then yeah, he had to fight twice on the same night,
Yeah.
obviously, and yeah, but that was never the plan. So that was purely Kofi Kingston, prime example, was never the plan. Kofi Mania went absolutely batshit crazy, and there we were in the main event of WrestleMania. But then, like everything afterwards, it just died of a death, and WWE again had to pivot. I don't know. I just think. for me, it's just I think they're missing something with what they're doing right now with that title. I don't. It needs someone. It needs someone like
Mm.
a Randy Orton or
Yeah.
someone to get hold of that title. Maybe Bron Breakker going into the future might be the one, and we'll get to the IC title in a minute. Sami Zayn, someone like that to
Ooh.
maybe give that title. I don't know. It's for me, it's just missing something. And they have banger matches and they put on good. Just for me, though, man. I don't know what you think. I might just be barking up the wrong tree. I think it's missing something.
It is. No, no, it is missing. So I think sometimes it's the whole thing about booking and the storyline aspect to it, and who like when Cody won the title, and I think was it Nakamura and someone like AJ
Mhm.
Styles was about a week. It took like 3 or 4 weeks. All of a sudden, AJ Styles they had their match at Backlash or whenever it was, and the crowd. I mean, the match was great. The crowd was fantastic, but there was no build. They could have built that around the old Bullet Club because Cody and AJ were both
Mm.
part of it at some point. And there's your story. You can kind of kick it, mention it a little bit. I know AEW have got Bullet Club, and I know New Japan have got Bullet Club, but Finn Balor mentioned it, I think, before in a promo this year that they were about I think it was AJ, maybe even been AJ and Cody in the ring, and he said there was a club going that I was a leader of. That was your story right there. You had it, but they didn't
Do you
use it.
think they, because of the whole Bloodline storyline, which we can get to where that is now, do you think because that storyline has had such longevity, audience, and we've said this many times, not that they've taken the back seat, the other storylines, is it kind of they're just like 2 week builds done, 2 week builds done, and because of it's not like it used to be when you were growing up. You didn't have weeks before a show. It
Mm.
might be now you've got 2 weeks. They're in Saudi Arabia, another, then you've got a pay per view, then you've got a Saturday night main event, then they're back in Saudi, or they're over here. You know, what I mean, it's like bam, bam, bam. You know, apart from that bloodline storyline, which has obviously
Mm.
been going on, if you think about it, since 2020 to where we are now. Do you think all the other storylines, it's kind of like they want to have a quick fix, and maybe throw loads of stuff against the wall and see what sticks, and hopefully something comes out of it? I just feel that apart from that main storyline, which we're all still invested still in the bloodline, and obviously heading into Monday Night Raw on January the 6th, apart from that, there hasn't been what's the storyline of 2025, 2024, sorry, where you've gone, that's grabbed me. That's really got my attention, like as in, wow, I'm invested here. Only for WWE to go, right, we're done with that.
Not one in specific that said we're done with it, but one that I really enjoyed, and I think they've done it right, was Punk and McIntyre. I love that
Hmm.
because there was that real. There is always that kind of realistic element to we know with Punk, we know, the backstory, we know what's happened in other companies, we know that Punk was a dick in WWE, and we getting that nice sort of bouncy up and down Punk in a minute, and the Punk that's going to take over NXT and whatnot in the future, and you've seen the pictures of him and Drew, chatting before Raw
Hmm.
and stuff like that. So you know that but but because it had that little bit of, well, you know what Punk's like. McIntyre's poking the bear, as I said earlier on. Punk has not really dropped a sort of bomb on anybody really since coming
No.
back into it. I mean, he done a little one on Seth, tried to belittle him a couple of weeks ago, but the McIntyre and Punk one is the one that I enjoyed and I was invested in. But I can't just sit there and go, oh, well, that's really. I don't think there's been one in particular where I've sort of gone, oh, I wanted that to continue. Apart because Punk and McIntyre felt right to finish at Hell in a Cell. They done it the old school way. It finished correctly. And obviously, Punk's now going to Seth, which is another feud that I want to see because of the backstory, and that's got a backstory, and they're playing on that as well. So I don't think there's one in particular that I feel, oh, they dropped it too early.
Mm. Yeah, no, I'm kind of the same. Invested in the Bloodline storyline, but there hasn't
Yeah, of
been
course.
one. Again, I'm with you. I'm with like the whole Punk and Drew thing, but it hasn't literally been another storyline. I liked the build up that they gave LA Knight for a little while, only to drop the ball big time. I thought, oh, we're going actually
Yeah.
somewhere with this. This could be interesting. Only for them to go, actually, no, I don't think you're quite ready. Back down you go. I mean, that kind of seems to be where. Do you think WWE are kind of apart from their main cluster, shall we say? There's probably 5 or 6 guys at the minute that you could look at and go, that's good. But and then there's this faction that's the bloodline. Peel that back, and you're kind of like, it's good. Don't get me wrong, it's very good. But is it elite good, if that makes sense?
Yeah, it's not elite good. Yeah, it is a struggle because you look at it and you're like, well, you got the Bloodline, you got Seth, you got Punk, Cody, Drew, Jey Uso on his own now is I know he's
Mm.
Bloodline, but you look at merchandise sales, he's selling it.
Sami Zayn.
Sami Zayn,
Is he
Kevin
kind of
Owens.
still in that? Sami Zayn in that little, if we go back to the start of this year, and you look at Backlash when he went up against Roman,
Mm.
everyone, me and you were talking, are they gonna maybe put the title on him? We were seriously thinking, oh, we're gonna see a title change at Backlash. Is Roman's reign gonna end here? Because Sammy was where what we just mentioned, where LA Knight was. Sammy at the
Yeah.
start of 2024 was, he's turned on his back on the bloodline. He's heading to WrestleMania. He's going to be he's going to be the man. Me and you sitting now on the 21st of December, and he's still very prominent in WWE, but he's definitely not the man. Is that again something where you look at LA Knight, you look at Kevin Owens at the start of the year,
Yeah.
albeit again got injured. You look at Punk, hasn't quite got there yet. Is it the case of WWE still trying to figure shit out?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's that, I don't think they still got, I don't still think they've got a lot of plans. I don't know.
Mm,
It seems weird. I mean, Punk's looking likely that he's going to be, well, we know we got the Seth thing coming up, but he's looking likely to have a world title match at WrestleMania. So
mm.
who's that against? Now, interestingly enough, I sent you a picture before you logged on, and he's got Ludwig Kaiser at the house shows. So are we leading to the fact that Punk is then going to get through Seth? I know he's working Ludwig Kaiser next week, but is that the start of a program to get Punk to get to Gunther potentially?
Mm.
So he gets his title match. I don't know. I mean, it was just an interesting one. They threw it when I saw the graphic. I was like, wow. I mean, that's a great thing for Ludwig Kaiser. I'm sure we'll talk breakouts of 2025 in a bit, but yeah, I don't know. I feel as if
Is that
Punk.
the favour? Do we get to champion v champion? Punk and Roman say that's Punk wants to be the ultimate. We go back to what I said at the start of the show. Punk wants to be the ultimate champion. That's the favour that he calls into Heyman. Hey, you're on my side now. Me, Punk versus Roman, title versus title. We go old school, Warrior Hogan. It's been done in the past.
Yeah.
Do we go WrestleMania, Punk versus Roman, title v title?
We could do. I wouldn't put it past anyone. I wouldn't put it past them at the moment. I don't know for sure what that could be, but we've got this favor, which is another thing that we've got. There is this favor from Punk. What is it? Well, I'm sure at some point we'll find out. You could have hit the nail on the head. They may go down that route. Punk could win the world title, but he wants it all, right? And he'll
Hmm.
want it all, and that's the favor from Heyman. Guess what? You've got to make that match happen at WrestleMania. So that's, and we got two nights, and then we got two nights SummerSlam as well coming up this year.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll get into all of that in the next 40 or so minutes. Where are we with the rest of the roster, ads? Let's talk some women's wrestling. Obviously, we've transitioned from last year's Mania again. We always reference Mania as the day after as the starting point, as in day one, as the
Yeah.
reset button. We've now kind of transitioned from like a Becky Lynch,
Mhm.
a Charlotte Flair, where she Ronda Rousey is come and gone. Where are you with the women's division now? Me and you speak about this many times over the last 2 years. Is it as strong as it was this time last year? Has it weakened? You've had the return of Nia Jax, you've got Tiffy time, you've got many, many things going on within the women's division. Is it better now than where it was this time last year?
I think it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's worse, but I also wouldn't say it's got any better.
Stayed the same kind of
I
thing.
think it's kind of stayed the same. I mean, obviously, we've lost Becky Lynch. We assume she'd be back.
There's
There,
talk. I saw a graphic. She's expected to be the main return at the Women's Rumble.
she is expected to be there.
So Charlotte Flair.
There is, yeah, she's back whenever they pretty much have got something for her. There's obviously then we obviously bought in, well, WWE bought in Jade Cargill for
Hmm.
and that's gone okay. She's
Got a new
obviously
tag
out.
team partner now
Yeah, well, she's not
on
a tag team
SmackDown.
champion anymore, is she? So we got to find out who attacked her yet, and that's
Hmm.
could be Naomi, could be Charlotte Flair. Um, but what we have got is an NXT roster of Julia and Stephanie Vaquer, and the Australian, and I can't remember the Australian girl's
Oh,
name,
I know who you
the
mean.
new
Yeah,
one, oh, I don't know, and
incredible.
and her. Now, when they come up, and it's not going to be long. Let's be
I
real.
think the women's NXT roster is better than the main one.
The women's NXT roster is probably the
You
strongest.
look how many times they main event their shows.
Nearly every week now, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we do have the potential coming in maybe a month's time of Jordan Grace.
Hmm.
That adds another layer to that division of Jesus Christ. Like, that is
Yeah.
then you're looking at going right back up there. I just feel it's stagnated, but there's a lot of talent there, and they will get it. And imagine a roster you're going to have Stephanie Vaquer, Julia, Delta was the Australian girl's name before she comes to WWE. It's changed.
Hmm.
Delta. Jordan Grace to come in as well on top those four, and then you still got like Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez, and then you got the young talent like Sol Ruka in NXT. When you bring them up, that's a lot. But then WWE have got to do, and I know they're going to have a third hour of SmackDown. They've got to fit it all in.
Mm.
There's the problem. But next year they could have the best, probably the most biggest and best women's roster they've ever had.
Yeah, but that's a big shout. We've had Lita and Trish and China, and yeah, we've
But
had
when you had
also.
Lita and Trish, you literally had Lita and Trish.
Yeah, they were carrying that
There was
roster.
levels
Yeah,
between,
yeah.
the
You
next
next
lot.
you go down to
Now
like Tori Wilson and Sable, and they were just there for their boobs. Let's be
you
honest.
put all them ones in there, the Vaquirs, the Julias, Deltas, all them, and they're all pretty much on par. You've got a huge division there of talent, and that's going to be interesting to see what they do with that. Does it need its own show? There's the question. And if
Ooh,
that starts out drawing Dynamite, don't even go there.
no comment. Don't get me
Yeah.
started. No comment. The Intercontinental title currently held by Braun Breaker.
Yes.
Has any for me that title has been flitted in and out in
Hmm.
2024. It's been okay. We had obviously Jay Uso as champion
Briefly.
for, but very briefly. Braun Breaker's been champion. Who was champion just after Mania? Who was it at
Sami
Mania?
Zayn, he beat Gunther, didn't he?
Sami Zayn, yeah, obviously, and that was the kind of the moment where you were like, oh, okay, they've given him the IC title, but that was for me again. You've kind of dropped down the pecking order, and I don't mean that disrespectfully because he was going for the stars, kind of thing, hit the moon. Where are you with the IC title now? Braun Breaker's probably going to be destined to go to bigger and better things eventually.
Yeah.
Again, you look at someone like the Miz who really brought that title back to Providence and really, had a great run with it. For me now, it's kind of like, uh, again, it comes back to what we were saying earlier with Gunter and his title. For me, the IC title, I don't know if it's a storytelling thing, I don't know if it's a booking thing. For me, I'm just not as invested as I used to be in where that belt is. Maybe that's just on me as a wrestling fan. I don't know.
No, I feel as if it's as you said, it's been passed around a bit as well, and we don't like that. And well, I get it. I mean, there was obviously Jey Uso there had to be a reason for Jay to go to the bloodline. They
Hmm.
could have done it differently. He didn't have to win, but and then a lot of people were clamoring for him to win. There was a big hoo-ha when he didn't win it, or when he didn't win some, I don't know, it was a tournament or something for it that he didn't win it. So everyone was like going crying about that. So. I just feel as if the United States as well. Geez, I mean, that's
And they put it on Logan Paul.
they put it on Logan Paul, for a
For me,
hundred
that was
bucks.
the moment I was like, yep, I'm done.
They put it on him. Fair play, he can wrestle, which is part of half it, but he didn't hardly defend it, which was worse. Then you had the LA Knight fiasco. Now you've got it on Nakamura. He's been back like 2 weeks. I think I've seen him since he's won it, which hasn't really
Yeah,
helped.
he interfered on Friday Night SmackDown briefly this past week, and that's pretty much all we've seen of him since, the
So
last
you
Saturday
know,
Night Main Event.
again, they make it. These should be the championships that you should be looking at. That's
But
the
is that like we said earlier? Is that because where we are with what we've got with
yeah.
the Bloodline and Punk, and it's again, it's not playing second fiddle. It's not that they don't care. It's just they know. And I'm speaking as someone I'm part of this problem. Everyone's so invested in what's going on with Roman, the Bloodline, leading up to the Rumble. You've potentially got the Rock, and everyone's like,
Yeah.
I'm so invested in that. Yeah, every now and again you peep your head around the corner and you obviously watch what's going on because you're watching. We're all wrestling fans, but then in the back of your mind, all you're thinking about is, oh, get to the last segment of the show so I can see the next like notch on the bedpost for the Bloodline storyline, etc., etc. I don't know. Maybe that's something. Do you think that WWE need to address that in 2025? This time next year, we need to be sitting there going, right, bam, we've got this going on with the IC title. We've got the United States men's, women's. We've got the IC men's, women's. The tag team division that we haven't even got into yet. For me, that's another one that you're kind of looking at the tag division and you're kind of like now them titles are getting passed around like Katie Price and New Year's Eve. It's ridiculous. It's just like you they're not they're not building anything long enough to keep the champions for long enough. It's oh, we've pivoted here. The War Raiders have now got the
Yep.
titles on Raw. Was it the Motor City Machine Guns? No, who lost the titles?
DIY again, isn't it?
Yeah, GOY, but they what's it from that were in TNA had the belts for how long?
Yeah, McGuns. Oh, they had it for about 3 weeks, didn't they?
3 weeks. Again, for me though, that was perfect. I thought, the great tag team. We all know that if you know your wrestling, you know the history. WWE just went, nah, just gonna flip it up again. We'll have a tournament or something, or we'll just. For me, the question I've got to ask is why are they doing this, and why are they doing it so often? They don't do it with the main titles really. Roman had it for obviously the longest
Yeah,
reigning time that we've known in modern history. What is it about the IC title, the tag team division? There's some great tag team wrestlers out there. For
yeah.
me now, again though, it comes back to what we said earlier. I'm not sitting here going, all right, Ads, we're reviewing 2024. Who for you's really what's been the great tag team feud of 2024? There hasn't really been one.
No,
Really?
like the other year we always had the Usos, didn't we? And
Yeah.
we had things going on with them because they were tag champs. But you look at you look at any of those. I mean, Gunther's had a few good matches when he was IC champion, but you look at those championships and you're like, where do
Austin
you
Theory and bloody fucking doodah from Australia.
Grayson Waller?
Grayson Waller, you're like,
When do you remember sitting back going, that Intercontinental title match was match of the night? That, tag team
mm,
title match, which you haven't. You mentioned the point like when you're talking about Natalia, when you say, when do you ever remember a great storyline that she's been in? And you'd probably be happy that she would got knocked out of the tournament on Monday on Raw.
yeah.
But you look at that the same way you look at these championships. Like, when do you recall a feud or a match for that championship that you were like,
Gunther losing the title, the match he had when he lost the IC title.
what's a Sammy?
That was probably a
That was good at
decent.
Mania,
That was a
yeah.
good. Again, though, that was because it was Mania, and they had, again though, it was that kind of like Gunther done all that work with that title, only to lose it in like a powder puff kind of like moment
It wasn't.
because they kind of thought, well, we want to give Sammy something because the crowd are really, we'll give him the IC title, and then the run he had with it wasn't great,
Yeah, I mean, you look at the men's tag title, Judgment Day didn't defend it for 180 odd days, or whatever
crazy.
it was.
You know what I mean?
And then they lost it to the War Raiders.
Yeah.
So,
But
yeah,
what's the thinking there? What I know you're going to get to. Obviously, you want to get to Priest, Finn. I don't know. I'm guessing
yeah,
leading into well, I say the Rumble. I keep talking about fucking WrestleMania Netflix. Something's going to happen then. I think is it Priest versus? Have they announced anything for Damien Priest on the Netflix Raw?
no.
I'm
Okay.
gonna guess it's gonna be him. I reckon. I reckon Gunter drops his title. By the way, on that Raw.
Do you?
Don't know how they're getting there. They're getting there somehow. Whether
To
it's
who?
Priest, Finn,
Oh,
something. One big title, and it ain't gonna be Cody. One huge title is dropping on Raw on that
yeah, you can't
Netflix.
really, and without being disrespectful, you can't say Nia Jax's title is going to be the one, is it? Unless
Jesus.
they do the change with Liv and Rhea, but I think they want to. I can't. I don't know. Is that big enough? The thing is, it's a bit like, and I know we don't want to talk about AEW, but it's a bit like their thing. Their streaming deal kicks off the show after their last pay per view next weekend. So
Right.
when that pay, so the way I position it and the way I position WWE and Netflix, you're going to want to. So for example, AEW's thing, that pay per view's got to go off the air with something that's happened that's going to make you want to go and watch Dynamite when it streams on Max, right?
Mm-hmm.
Raw on the 6th of January is going to want to be watched. Well, it could be watched by millions, but you're going to be watching that Raw, thinking, "I want to be able to watch next." Something's got to go down to say, "I need to watch next week." So you're right. Something massive has got to happen. But
Bearing in mind that how many people are on that Raw, something's going to happen to make you want to watch SmackDown because Roman's on it, Cody's on it. Half the SmackDown roster, well, I say half the Smack, they're pretty much all one bloody roster now with this transfer stuff going on.
yeah,
Something's going to have to, that Raw's going to have to go off the air, them 3 hours, with you going, I'm watching SmackDown on Friday.
and it's going to be 3 hours.
It's 3 hours, SmackDown, like you say, the SmackDown's going to be three. Something's going to have to happen. It's probably going to involve Kevin Owens somehow. The I love what he's doing with the winged eagle
Oh,
belt
brilliant! He's
right now.
defending it
It's
and
genius. It's
love
absolutely. I
it.
mean, they've done this kind of storyline before, haven't they? When wrestlers have gone around claiming to be the champions when they're not. I think it's brilliant. But yeah, something's going to have to happen as we end 2024 and go into Raw and Netflix for them to like really hit the ground running. Because, like you just said, millions of people are going to be watching this. It's going to be probably the highest rated Monday Night Raw of all time.
Oh, well, I would have thought I'd be
We're talking
surprised if it
we're
weren't.
talking WrestleMania figures here.
They got it, isn't it? I
The
mean,
way they're pumping this card as well. But yeah, let's just quickly finish up with like, obviously the tag team wrestling, the women's division.
Who's your breakout though? Who has been like the one person? I don't know. I just call the MVP. So, for example, who's number one? Who's your MVP of this year, and who is going to be the breakout of 2025?
My MVP of this year has probably been Kevin Owens.
Mhm.
I love the dude. I think he's amazing. I hope they push him more. Absolutely. I was leaning towards LA Knight a little bit with the big push. Again though, I can't sit here and definitely say to you, "Oh, this has been my standout," because I'm so invested. I spend most of my time talking about what's going on with the Bloodline storyline. Everyone knows I'm a huge Roman Reigns fan. CM Punk, has he really? MVP? No. Drew McIntyre's up there.
Yeah.
The way that he's pivoted many times from where he is. But yeah, I mean, I could choose. Again, I'm not going to sit here and go, wow, they really Gunter at the start of the year when he was rolling with the IC title, and then obviously we got to Mania and he dropped it, and people have kind of got on a roll, and then it's derailed, and then someone else has got on a roll, and it's derailed again purely because of what's going on with the Bloodline storyline. It's probably not a downside, but it's probably if you had to phrase it, the only downside to the Bloodline storyline being so invested, no one else really gives a shit what's going on. But
True.
we care, but we don't. I didn't mean that as in we're not caring. Oh, I'm only going to watch the last hour of Raw.
Yeah.
We care, but I'm not sitting here. Me and you aren't texting each other going, "Oh my god, I can't believe that. I can't believe that." We're just like, well, WWE, because WWE don't really care. You know, it's not that I'm not as invested, but as breakout star, Braun Breaker for me, I think's been really good. I've been really impressed from what I've seen from when he's come up from NXT. But there hasn't been many where I've gone, oh wow, because they've only really pushed. If you look at it, LA Knight got a massive push, Sami
Yeah.
Zayn got a massive push,
Mhm.
Drew when he come back, Punk. They haven't really got anyone and gone. Again, it comes back to the theme of the show. They haven't got behind anyone else because they don't need to. This isn't back in the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s. They're like, right, Cena, you're getting the push. Stone Cold, you're getting the push. So and so is getting the push. You can have all these other champions. WWE are like, we don't really need to push anyone because we've got Roman Reigns and the Bloodline storyline. And until that's done, I don't think anything will change within WWE. I don't think we could lead up to Mania and probably have this same conversation. I don't know what you think. I don't know what about your breakout and who you like. You're really thinking, wow, I'd strap a rocket to this guy. I would have said 5 months ago. I would have said Gunter. Me and you we talked time and time again. Bang a match, bang a match. Strap the rocket. We said it. Strap the rocket to him and see where you go. It's kind of like they've let the Russians loose with this rocket. It's not quite sure
Oh,
what's happening here, where it's going. You
Uh,
know, I don't know. What do you think?
I want to throw a name out there, and it's not. He's not my MVP. I want to throw it out there, and I'll tell
Okay,
you why.
okay.
Dominic is a one. I tell you why. There's not many second, third, fourth generation people that even with Cody Rhodes, we sit there and go, "Oh, it's Dusty's son," and every time someone has a promo against him, he's Dusty's son. It's blah blah blah. Natty was always they always mention the Hart family and things like that. Dominic for me is one of the only guys that I could sit there if I didn't watch wrestling. I wouldn't know that he was Ray's son because he has taken a character
Good point.
that he's portrayed and he has gone out of his dad's shadow. And I don't even call him Mysterio. I call him Dominic.
Yeah,
I
Dom.
don't
Yeah,
even call him Mysterio. Whereas we
no.
always say Cody Rhodes or Natalie Neidhart. There's always that name. I
Mm-hmm.
don't call Dominic by the name Mysterio. I call him Dominic.
No.
And that's what he's done. He's taken his character and he's gone out of his dad's shadow and he's created his own legacy. So for me, Dominic is like up there. I have to
Mm.
give him the
No,
prominence.
mate, I'm agreeing with you. I mean, I think that does help as well now. The way you're getting to the certain age of wrestling fans now that they might not know. I don't mean it's horribly. They don't know who Rey Mysterio. Not that they don't know who he is,
Yeah.
but you're kind of now in that era where people who are younger than us in their 20s or the teenagers are probably like, never really seen a Rey Mysterio match. They know of him because he flits in and out.
Yeah.
He's there every now and again. But obviously, because me and you and people that I say like Dave and Peter Parker and God knows, and
Mm.
Fiona that know wrestling know that of Dusty Rhodes and Bob Orton and things like
Yeah.
that. You know of that. But now, yeah, I think what Dom's done has been. incredible. Kind of a shame the way that the Judgment Day kind of thing ended because I thought they
Mm.
were on a roll. I get why they kind of done it, but again, Rhea Ripley's another perfect example. She was flying, and I know
Yeah.
she got injured, and I know they're trying to get her back to where she was now. Again, she's another one that could a potential breakout of 2024 if it wasn't for the injuries.
Yeah, potential. My one, yeah, I'm gonna say McIntyre for me, and I think
Yeah,
2025 is gonna be they're gonna do something major with him. I don't know what.
it'd be a
Championship, he
great heel
deserves a run.
champion. Great
Yeah,
heel champion.
I think he'll go to SmackDown because that's where the less of the bloodline will go to Raw. You know, the OG like Roman. I think he will go to Raw. I see Cody going Raw. I see Gunther going SmackDown. I see McIntyre going SmackDown. Maybe even Punk. But McIntyre will win the championship at some point. So he's my MVP of 2024. Breakout of 2025. That's a tough one. Oh Jesus, because you say you got the Braun Breakers potentially. I'm gonna go. It's one a bit out of left field, but we'll see. Trick Williams.
Oh yes,
If they
great
get it
shout.
right,
Great shout.
if they get it right, or when he's back from his serious injury, Dragonov, if they get it right.
Hmm.
There's my two potential ones for me.
Trick Williams is in.
He's brilliant. He's got everything, but it's whether or not they can, even under Triple H, they get caught up and they still don't have a clue what to do with them. So it's like, if they get it right,
Are we at this stage? I think me and you touched on this last week. Are we at the stage now where you don't have to call them up? NXT can hold its own now.
yeah.
You don't have to, especially with it. You've got bigger scope now. I know that Netflix is going to be more not dumbed down, whereas Raw is going to be not Attitude Era, but it's going to be more cutting edge. You're going to see a lot
Mm.
more, what we did back in the day. And I know you can't really do that with Netflix per se, but do you really need to call with where we are now with wrestling, with the Netflix deal? Is Raw and SmackDown still the main roster? Is NXT? I get it that this, you've talked, you spoke about it last week with potential wrestlers going back down to NXT. I just see it as moving sideways or going on another. I don't potentially see it's not like going from the Premier League to the Championship kind of thing. It's kind of like, well, this is the direction they're shifting. Excuse me. I don't see it as a demotion. I think NXT can hold its own now. If anything, I've enjoyed at times this year watching NXT more than anything else. Raw's been good. It's bored me a lot at times where I'm like, yeah, nothing nowhere near as back in the day where you just used to during the 2000, the early 2000s when it was truly terrible. I don't fast forward it at all, but NXT, I pretty much watched the whole show and I'm really invested. And I think Shawn Michaels is on a go. I don't see it as you have to call these people, I could easily see like we did last year. You're seeing John Cena turn up on NXT. You saw Undertaker turn up, and you saw John Cena. There's so many people now that can turn up on NXT. I don't see it as the B side anymore.
No, I don't. I think that it can be easily, they can easily just leave it. But yeah, I just think that they've got to, or if they do call him up, they've got to get it right. And that's the issue. And they still haven't really done it that well, even under the Triple H.
No, I can't remember the last person that they called up, and I'm like, wow.
Well,
Well,
Breaker's been
Breaker,
the only
Breaker's
one, isn't
done
he?
well. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
done well. But and again, I love the guy. I love what he does in the ring. I like his promos. You can tell that wrestling runs in his blood.
yeah.
But there hasn't been anyone where I've gone, holy shit.
Brawl Breaker's another one as well that's come out of the shadow. I mean, they
Who's
don't have
that?
to make name change as well because obviously they give him the fucking random
He
NXT.
hasn't done a Bryman. He hasn't done a Pillman. Put it that way. What the fuck's going on with that
Oh,
story?
Lexus King.
Yeah, what the
Yeah,
talk about dropping
yeah.
them? Oh my god, talk
I
about
don't know what
clusterfuck.
he's. I mean, you look at that in NXT. You got fucking Ethan Page there at the minute, haven't
Hmm.
you? At the moment
Yep.
as well. Sooner or later, we're going to be talking. Again by February, we could be having Josh Alexander in the WWE yet as
Hmm.
well. If you want someone as close to Kurt Angle as you can get, and
Yep.
Braun Breaker, Josh Alexander, yes, please.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, obviously, was it Penta coming from AEW? I'm
Penta's going to
I'm
debut.
hearing that's done. That symbol when me and you were
Yeah, it's
speaking on Monday.
Penta.
Apparently, that's yeah. Again, though, a lot of people I scroll through the WWE Facebook page. Everyone's like, he'll mean something for a couple of weeks. Unless you're a proper die-hard wrestling fan, and I get he's known worldwide. For me, I know he is. I just generally don't think the lot of the WWE audience will get it.
I
And
think,
again, I'm hoping WWE just don't drop the ball in him. I think he'll come in with a good hype. I don't know who he'll feud with straight off the bat. I think it'll be good. I still think he'll go down the route of going up against Kieran Cross.
oh,
I've got a feeling they'll involve him in that storyline somehow.
he's got who was on Chris Van Vliet? Someone was on Chris Van Vliet recently, and they said Karrion Cross has got everything then
Yeah.
WWE needs in a wrestler.
And but again, they dropped the. We could talk about superstars in 2024 that they dropped the ball with. He's got to be up there.
Yeah, yeah.
Done nothing. Done
But
abs.
Penta. I mean, WWE could look out for someone to replace Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
Penta's. I mean,
Since move the Wyatt family. Look at that storyline.
yeah,
We're talking one of the biggest builds of 2024, only to be sitting here in December going, couldn't care less.
yeah. No one could
Couldn't care
really.
less.
No,
They've done that little bit on Raw, didn't they, this past week?
and that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Honestly, I couldn't give a shit.
No,
Not invested one bit.
which is what I said when I said to him, "Are they just going to be mid cards that no one's going to care?" It was the whole build up going to be better than what everything they've done, and barring that first night when they literally killed everybody,
Yeah,
it's been shit.
yeah. And I saw them unreveal it, and I'm not here to bash, and people can come at us on social media. They unrevealed a Bray Wyatt statue the other day. Really? Really? Where's the Kurt Hennig statue? You know, where's the Rowdy Roddy Piper statue? You're like, come on a minute. He was
Yeah.
good. Are we really sitting here lording over him? No, don't get me wrong. It's terrible what happened, and he was a great prospect. Did he have as good a run as everyone makes out? I, I don't know. I might be. Look, this is coming from the guy that thinks Ric Flair is one of the most overrated wrestlers of all time, so I could be completing BS. But I don't know what
He
you
doesn't
think,
know
mate.
your money. He fucking knows everyone else's money.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Jesus, what's going on with him right now? But I don't know, mate. Am I missing a trick here? The way they're
I,
lording over Bray Wyatt, and don't get me wrong, he was good. They were building statues of him. They tried to carry on this Uncle Howie storyline. I'm thinking he's all right, but come on now.
it's a difficult one, isn't it? I think I don't know. I don't know. Would he have got that if he had finished up his career in the WWE? Probably not. I doubt
Exactly.
it.
Yeah, and I just don't
I
get me
don't know.
wrong. Incredible wrestler.
I mean,
Incredible.
the mind, the creativeness,
Yeah.
all of
But
that.
I saw them really the statue the other day.
I'm
I don't
not.
know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Is that too much? Probably. But I don't know if. I don't know. Yeah, it's a weird one.
Yeah.
I'm not
It
quite
is,
sure.
mate. It is. The future, 2025. What does it look like for the WWE and professional wrestling? We'll talk about. Let's just talk about wrestling in general now. As we move into 2025, we'll start off with the WWE. We've mentioned it many
Yeah.
times. January the 6th, we've got the Netflix deal kicking off. It's going to be like nothing we've ever seen before. I've been calling it Raw Mania. It's literally going to be. It's going to be WrestleMania esque. I'm hearing we're going to see fucking a shitload of pyro. Netflix have literally they chucked, well, we say 5 billion over 10 years at the WWE. What are we seeing in 2025? As me and you sitting here this time next year, and there's still a bloodline storyline going on. Is the IC title more relevant this time next year? What did WWE per se, before we get onto the other promotions, what is the future for them as we head into 2025 for and it's hard to say just on a wrestling aspect because gone are the days of me and you just going on a wrestling. It's so much more now, mate. It's
Yeah.
so much more. You're more than a wrestling fan now. You are. It is an entertainment business now. I get that, and I mean, me and you are old school. We might sound like old men here. I'm still about the business. I'm still about wrestling. That's why I love it. That's why I watch it. But mate, where we are now, Jesus Christ, I don't know. What do you think the future holds?
It's going to be mad. I mean, you look at this year, they're doing like a whole month tour of Europe before. So the whole month before WrestleMania is going to be done outside the US
Yeah,
for one.
you never
Unheard
have
of.
dreamed of that years ago, would you?
Unheard of. We've got the year that obviously this is seen as last year.
Yeah, and
So
he's full time as well. He's announced he's going to be full time. He's getting the title. There you go. That could be one.
Flair, they asked Flair that and he said no, they wouldn't give
They
it to him.
want him to beat that record.
He'll want it. He'll get it. I'm pretty sure he'll get
He'll be
it.
a champion. I still think he could win the Rumble.
Every chance. Every chance of
I
that.
still think he could win the Rumble.
He'll
We
declare
mentioned
it. He'll declare himself in the Rumble. He might even start the Raw of Netflix.
could do.
Or The Rock could do it as a big shock. Maybe no one knows he's there, blah, 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 blah. You know what they do before and stuff and
Oh,
such.
there's going to be some. I wouldn't be surprised if Austin turned up. They're throwing everything
They
at this.
will. They'll probably pull it all out for it, but I don't know how. I mean, 2025 will be the biggest year in the WWE, I think, for many a year. We'll be sitting here this time next year and we'll be like, where do we start? I think it's going to be
Yeah, how did we review 2025?
that's going to be it. And I think they'll do a lot more international stuff. They know the success of that. I mean, look what happened when he went to France. We're going to get a Raw in Brussels or something like that this year, in Barcelona, and
Hmm.
obviously European countries. They'll do more. Obviously, the Saudi shows will still be there as well. But I think 2025 is just going to be how the hell do we review it more than anything else.
Yeah, me and you have got to try and squeeze in 3 hours Raw, 3 hours SmackDown. You can throw in, yeah. I know. Again, I just hope they use the rosters wisely now. Three
Yeah.
hours, it's a risk. You've got to keep. The thing is with wrestling, and we're at the period now where everyone's watching. Everyone's watching. The world and his wife are going to be watching.
Mm.
And everyone's going to be watching up until WrestleMania. You've got to, and I'm not saying it's going to dip as they're Triple H ain't going to be calling an emergency meeting, going, look, no one's watching. We've just signed this deal with Netflix. We're never going to get. It's not AEW Dynamite. You're not going to kind of get them viewing figures. And I don't mean that horribly, but if you look at NXT, everything within WWE gets the greatest viewing figures. You've got to keep wrestling fans engaged.
Mm.
You made a great point about 20 minutes ago. You've got to make you want to watch the next show. We say that all the time as wrestling fans. I want to watch, and don't get me wrong, people like me and you will always watch it because it's what we do and it's all we've ever known. If you want to get the new fans invested, because of now nearly everyone on the planet's got a Netflix subscription, you need to hit them and you need to keep them invested. That's my main thing for 2025.
Mm.
How do they keep the hardcore fans invested? And how do you keep the casuals invested? You know what I mean? I still think we're going to see more with the UFC as we move into
Yeah.
2025. Everyone seems to forget about that partnership. I still think we're going to see a hell of I wouldn't be surprised if you saw some cross promotion, something happen with a UFC, WWE style show, a couple of UFC matches on it, a couple of WWE matches. Wouldn't be surprised whatsoever. But as for the future of WWE, mate, sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Sky's the limit. If I was, me and you were sat here when we first met all them years ago, thinking we'd be sitting here talking about the way the wrestling is now. Wow. You know what I mean? Raw's gone from an hour-long show to a 2 hour show to a 3 hour show to being on the biggest subscription-based platform on the planet. You've got the biggest wrestling company in the world now on the biggest subscription-based company on the planet in Netflix.
Yeah.
No, we said at the start, don't even think about if you're TNA, if you're maybe not TNA because they've kind of got the partnership with WWE. I think TNA are going to really benefit from what's going on in WWE.
Mm.
I think they're going to be the ones with their roster is. I was going through this yesterday actually when I was doing a little bit. Their roster is incredible,
Today's.
absolutely it's incredible roster, mate.
Yeah, they're
What
going to
a
be.
roster they've got.
They've lost. Well, they're going to be loose. So I'm just trying to think now. Trent Seven's gone. Alexander's going. Kushida's gone. Jordan Grace has gone or
Mm,
going. Let's be real. She's gone. There was a couple more, but Mike Bailey's gone.
mm.
They've lost a lot, but they always do. I mean, I think that's the thing. Everyone, do you know who wouldn't surprise me? And then maybe they should go for. And they brought back Tessa. Well, Tessa Blanchard's not under TNA contract, by the way, not officially.
Smart move.
Well, no. Well, when I was saying about WWE, apparently there's a
Mm.
lot of truth in that.
Really?
If it goes smoothly in TNA, anyway, the other one who I think TNA should take a punt with, Indy Hartwell.
Oh, great shout.
Um, but yeah, they're losing a lot of names. But TNA, what can they get a better TV? I mean, obviously you can get the app TNA Plus, go and get it.
Hmm.
But better TV deal in the States and a better TV deal maybe internationally. They're doing bigger shows next year. That's a big step up for them now. So
Yeah,
they've now got to sell out. They're doing Live Impact at the end of January. Live
makes
Impact.
sense. Makes
So
sense.
starting not necessarily doing, it's not going to be every week. Genesis one night, Live Impact the next, and I suppose they'll
Mm.
take it from there. So I think with TNA, the biggest advice I could give them is take baby steps. Don't try and jump into the deep end straight away.
Yeah. Let's briefly talk AEW then. What's the future look? You watch it a hell of a lot more than me, and you watch it a lot more than most people now, the looks of it. What's the future hold? Have they seriously dropped it? All joking aside, here, I spoke to my AEW mate yesterday. He's like you. He watches he watches every single race, and I've gone on record and said I pretty much watch WWE and TNA. That's about it, but it's mainly WWE. My mate Nick as well, who watches this. Big shout out to Nick. He is adamant that they severely dropped the ball with what they're doing now. You've only got to look at the ratings. You've only got to look at the attendances at their shows. They've got an incredible roster there. They've got some great guys still there. What the hell has happened to that promotion though in the last? We're briefly going to chat 20. We're reviewing 2024 from where they were this time last year. We were sitting down, we were reviewing Dynamite. We were talking about great pay-per-views. We're like, wow, they're bringing this. But you look at it now, mate. I've listened to brief. I won't. I've told you this loads of times. I listen to some of the review shows you do, and your review shows are better than the actual show that I've watched because I can last about 40 minutes, and I'm like, how the hell? Me and you were joking yesterday. That's going to go to 3 hours long. How the mate? I don't know how you're going to cope. Honestly, I'm going to put you on some sort of suicide watch on Wednesday nights. I'm going to make sure I ring you on the hour every hour just to make sure you're okay. What's happened to that company?
Do you know what the weird thing about it is, right? The biggest thing I wanted AEW to do this year they've done, which was put more storyline involvement into what they do. Literally,
Hmm.
like, make things make sense. Because some of the things, you look at a Dynamite card and you'd be like, "Fuck's that guy? Why is this guy? What's going on?"
Hmm.
They've done that, and they've done that very, very well this year. A lot better than what they have been. I kind of struggling a little bit to actually find. I think again, I've talked to a lot of ex AEW fans. I'm saying the word ex AEW fans for a reason. They would die hard.
Yeah.
They turned
Yeah.
around and said that they can't, they can't, they no longer can watch it.
Mate, I know plenty.
And it's
Honestly,
like,
probably 5 or 6 of my mates that are proper. They're like, Andy, you're just a WWE mark. Now they're sitting there going, barely watch it, and I'm like, wow. And
yeah,
they're like, oh, I loved it. What's going on? It was messaging, oh, Andy, WWE. And I'm like, yeah, but, just WWE. But you're an eight. No, I don't want to differentiate between AEW guy and WWE guy. But so many people are like what you've just said. Don't watch. Why are the fans switching off?
that is the question. A lot of them was said they just gave up with it, and it was just.
But it's going to 3 hours, isn't it?
Well, I think he said he would like it to go 3 hours.
Come on now,
I
ads.
think he's got a bit. I mean, they are. Listen, they've got enough. They're valued at $2 billion
Mm-hmm.
in 5 years. Which, listen, if you can go take a company from fuck all to 2 billion in
100%.
5
Yep.
years,
Fair play.
you
Kudos.
have to give him props for that. They've got a streaming deal, which is great again. So again, my fear with well, no, my theory is, and it's nothing to do. It's just too big for him to do on his own. You look at that roster. Me and Dave was talking once, and we reeled off about a dozen people that were injured. And we're not talking stupid names. They had fucking like Hangman Page, Kenny Omega, all these guys out injured. And yet we were still talking Osprey, fucking hell, Osprey, Christian Cage, Swerve Strickland, everyone. We're still thinking of those names. And then we were like, well, how the fuck do these all fit in? He
Hmm.
needs to do, and he for me, and I said this last week on the review, and it actually everyone agreed. He needs to hard split because Collision was put on because of Punk. We all know the Punk issue, and we all know what happened there. But he was always going to say they was always meant to do a hard split of rosters, and they never did.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he needs to do. Number one, have a brand solely for Dynamite, have a brand solely for Collision. Rampage is going, so they got that's gone at the end of this month. And then he's got a Ring of Honor roster as well. And that's meant to be getting the TV deal potentially. Ring of Honor as well. It's meant to be getting the TV deal. So
Yeah, I know they
that's
had their show last night, didn't they? Obviously, me and you recorded
brilliant
this on
show.
Saturday.
Apart from Bandito coming back and then getting a head concussion straight away from a drop kick that he done. Great arena though. The Hammerstein Ballroom sold that out, which was good. It looked really good. I
Mm-hmm.
just think split the rosters and then get somebody else in to do the writing and maybe the thing for basically just let him do Dynamite and have somebody else come in and write Collision and do Collision. So like a secondary to Tony Khan and maybe even a third to do Ring of Honor because I think he's doing too much. Triple H is a team of writers, right? He's got
Mm-hmm.
like a everyone and you've got set ones, haven't you? The ones
Yeah.
that do Raw and you've got the ones that do SmackDown. Tony Khan's got him and I think a couple of other people and they do everything. So he
Mm.
needs to get people in to help out, people in from the business that really would help.
Yeah. I mean, he's a businessman writing a wrestling show.
Yes, yeah, he's a fan, and
Yeah.
maybe that's half the problem. I'm not saying he's a mark, but I was talking to Todd Gordon, and he was like, Tony Khan was at one of their first shows that they done in ECW.
Hmm.
Tony Khan was there, so he's a
Yeah,
mark for the business. But
yeah.
I think sometimes his problem is he tries to go. I mean, this week for fuck's sake, we had Osprey and Darby Allin on free TV.
That one baffled me because everyone was like, "This is the match of the year." So I watched the whole match.
Yeah,
And I love Will Ospreay. Absolutely. For me though, and again, I went through social media and read the comments. They were pretty much the comments that I'm about to make. You might as well have just had that match on a trampoline. That's all that match was for me. And everyone was like, if that's match of the year, then fuck me, I ain't watching wrestling ever again.
I don't think
Not
it's.
even
I wouldn't
close
go
to
that
match.
far.
Not even close. Dave Meltzer, match of the year. I was
Oh,
sitting there with his box of tissues. And again, though, for me, Ospreay and Darby Allin can put on a hell of a match. But for me, though, it's not why I watch wrestling. And I watched the whole match because I saw so many people. It's the
yeah,
match of the year. And then I also saw so many people going, hang on a minute. So I thought, I don't know what, I'll check it out. So I watched it.
yeah,
Trampoline wrestling. Easy to spot, and everyone, oh, great high flying move, doing off, off the top, right. And I'm thinking, come on, man, I get it. Every WWE does it, AEW does it. We all do it, but this was literally like, well, how long did the match go for? However long it went for.
yeah.
It was just like boing, 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 boing. It was like the old bouncing ball and the old, the songs
Yeah.
when you were a kid. And to
And you
me,
had Darby Allin trying to kill himself again.
yeah,
Some
and
of the
I'm
spots.
thinking, don't get me wrong, some of the spots were like, wow, but I'm like, do you really need to do this? And B, it's kind of not what I like wrestling for. So for me, it was nowhere
Yeah,
near match of the year. But then you look, you have got Will Ospreay, you've got Darby Allin, you've got the talent there to do it. From where they were, from where they are now, it's just night and day.
yeah, it is. It really is. I don't
It was
know.
incredible when it started, incredible.
Yeah,
Now it's losing fans. It's got its diehards. I mean, I know you're a fan of AEW and you like some of the stuff they do, and that's why we love wrestling because we differ in our opinions. And hopefully, we get to speak to Dave as we go into Twitter. I'd really be interested to see where Dave is with AEW now, bearing in mind how much us we always used to have a little laugh and a joke about it.
yeah,
Hopefully, at the start of the year, we'll reach out to Dave and us. We can just sit down and do like a wrestling catch up. I'll be really interested to know. Hopefully, he's going to listen to this. Dave, let us know. I'd love to know where he is on AEW now.
yeah. It'd be interesting to see. It
Because
would
he's one of the biggest AEW fans I've ever met in my life.
be.
But yeah, I don't know. If you had to give wrestling a grade for
Jeez.
2024, what would your grade be, Ads?
Ooh, uh, B, sort of, yeah, B, bottom end of a B. I think there was a lot right, there was a lot wrong,
Does a
and
B have a bomb end? I don't
but I
know.
think I think we're going to see it this time next year, and it'll be close to an A.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Yeah, I'd say B. A for me, WWE has just been the just the Bloodline storylines that had me invested all year. I just
Yeah,
hope they invest. They're going to have to invest. SmackDown's 3 hours worth of it. They're going to have to invest. They've got other storylines. I just hope they pump as much into 2025 as they have. But let's talk about briefly the year that's been hitting the turnbuckle while we wrap up here. What's been, what's coming up, where you are, where I am, where we are as a podcast, as a YouTube channel. It'd be very remiss of me if I didn't just say a big shout out to you personally while we're here as we wrap up 2024, what you've done for this little podcast that me and Parker started when we just the two fans that went to talk wrestling. You've taken it to the next level, mate. It's gone. It's fuck me. It's absolutely gone places where incredible. So you're not man to sit here and pat yourself on the back. So I'll do it for you, mate. What you've done for this show, what you've done for British wrestling. I know I speak for everyone at Ignite. I know I speak for everyone at many a wrestling UK promotion. What you've done for them single-handedly on your own, but with this platform, has been nothing short of incredible, mate. So I give you a personal thank you from someone that I started hitting the turnbuckle just as me and Parker talk about WWE. Where it is now, mate, absolutely next level, sir.
Well, thanks for that. But also thank you because obviously if you didn't invite me on, I wouldn't be doing
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
it.
That one, send you a random
And
text one day. You want to come talk
while you're
wrestling?
here, I've got you I can't actually send it to you down the line, but as obviously next year you make your triumphant return, and
Yes.
I've got you
Ah, look at that. I'll wear it with pride. Better than my Dunstable tracksuit that I've got on now. Ah, mate, I love it.
your
People can
merch.
scan me. People can stand me QR code as I walk along the street.
They can, and
I just feel
they
like,
can.
there you go.
Only
Oh, thank you, mate. I appreciate it.
I think this year my highlight for the thing has been getting involved, getting the TNA media.
Ah, incredible, mate. Yeah.
That has been the thing. Well, having AEW stars on as well. Let's be honest. We've said about how some of the stuff they need to improve on, but having that for me was the best two things of this year: TNA and AEW. Just by getting those on, it's been.
Going to Eric Bischoff for me.
Oh, Bischoff again. Yeah, well, he's coming back next year as well, so we're gonna.
Dude, just to sit down and know. For me, that just still just blow. That the kind of thing is why we do this as wrestling fans. I remember when we very first had Vince Russo on.
Yeah.
Me and you just look at each other over Zoom, thinking, "Are we fucking sitting here interviewing Vince Russo?" Now we're sitting here. Are we interviewing Eric Bischoff? We've sat down with Jake the Snake. Where what we've done, who we've spoke to, who you've spoke to, what you've done with the UK scene and the UK guys, and where we've done with some of our childhood heroes is why we do what we do. And if one person watches, great. If over 1,000 people listen, watch, great. We just do it because we're wrestling fans, mate. But what's coming up on Hitting the Turnbuckle as we finish this year and we head into 2025?
What is coming up? Well, obviously, obviously, we're gonna do our review shows as normal. Obviously, World's End, the Ignite End of Year Awards. Now,
Oh, oh, hello.
they're enough
Is it
locked
going to be
in.
like the Slammies?
I'm considering getting awards. Yeah, that's sad. It's my sadness of me. We've got Independent Showcase coming up. Where you're talking about UK Independent, so
Hmm.
we're going to be doing a lot with those. We're going to have Ruthless Rob Drake on. We're going to have the Rev Pro, one of the Rev Pro champions, Will Caven, coming on. We've got Wrestle Carnival that's coming back next year. Gary's going to be coming on. We've got Pro Wrestling North coming on next year as well. We've got Riot Cabaret coming on next year as well. Shout out to them as well for the show they put on the other day. We're going back to ECW one more time at least. We've got CW Anderson at the start coming on. And the greatest wrestler that ever lived might be a controversial one. It's something.
Doink the Clown.
No.
Oh,
Austin Aries.
oh, okay.
Coming on. He's coming over to the UK in March. So we got that as well. Our Hollywood Haley J from the Wrestlers series. She's coming on. She's in NWA now, so we're going to be doing the NWA Spotlight. Will return myself and Fee. Looking forward to that. Obviously, Bischoff will be back on in 2025 and mark down a date in September. It's not going to be July this year, but there's something going on in September at Shenley Road over in Boreham Wood that people might want to come over.
Okay. You can tell me about that when we stop recording.
Yeah,
I
it'll be
know.
September the 20th.
Pray to God I'm not in Washington.
September the 21st is the date.
The NFL. Okay. Right. Okay.
But
Okay.
that's
Cool.
that's really it for now. I can't really, and obviously it'd be great next year to have you back properly doing
Yes, mate. Can't. We're looking forward to it. To be honest, Raw, SmackDown, pay-per-views, whatever you'd like to say.
interviews.
It really helped me with going onto Netflix. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? I didn't have
huge.
T and I don't have a TNT subscription. I refuse to. I can get it because I'm paying God knows how much for Sky. It's bad enough watching Tottenham on Sky. I don't want to see them get whopped on
And I'm
TNT.
also going to be going to Prodigy Pro Wrestling next Friday, 27th. And me and you are going to hit the road and do some shows, mate.
Yes, we're hitting the road in 2025, my friend. I'm going to attend a hell of a lot more wrestling shows. That is going to be the plan. You'll see a hell of a lot of me again on Hitting the Turnbuckle, which I can't wait. But just for everyone at Hitting the Turnbuckle, myself, Adam, Fiona, Dave, everyone, Rachel, who works great work still behind the scenes doing the Instagram and all the social media stuff that she does. She's a massive part of what we do at Hitting the Turnbuckle. Great part of our team. Just wishing everyone a very Merry Christmas. It's been a
Yes.
great year of professional wrestling. 2025 is going to take it to the next level. This whole Netflix deal. Let's hope AEW pick up what they're doing. TNA is
Yeah.
going to be incredible. You've got NW. There's so much. If you want to watch wrestling, just watch it and enjoy it. Don't be, sitting online and trolling and doing if you enjoy WWE, great. If you enjoy AEW, great. If you enjoy both, great. Just enjoy professional wrestling. The UK scene is incredible. Obviously that's highlighted so much on Hitting the Turnbuckle. Why wouldn't it be? We're two English lads who love what we do. We love talking about American professional wrestling, but the scene in the UK is I'm going to go out there and say it's probably one, if not the best in Europe. And I know we can speak to people like Corey, who goes to Germany, and Ali, they wrestle all over the world. For me, though, every time I attend a UK show, I've been to some of the shows I went to at Ignite last year, and Rev Pro wouldn't be lost on any show in the world. You could put that on. I'd pay 10, £20 to watch that on a subscription-based show. So the talent that we've got in this country is truly incredible. But Adam, very Merry Christmas, mate. Enjoy your
Merry
little
Christmas.
mini break. I will
Yes.
100% catch up with you. Be back for the Raw Netflix review. Probably going to need half a day to review that. I don't know how we're gonna cram it in. But ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for all the support that you've given Adam throughout the year. He's taken this podcast on to the next level. Myself personally as well, where hitting the turnbuckle is now has been truly, truly incredible. I wish you all a happy holidays and a prosperous new year. Ladies and gentlemen, till next time, I've been your host, Andy Burrows. That has been the amazing Adam Cousins. Buckle down. Stay safe.